Welcome back to News at 10, broadcasting live from Abuja. In continuation of our assessment of the various sectors, tonight we look at health. In 2014, 262.74 billion naira was allocated to the health sector, and though many thought that was not enough, the government was able to meet some needs. But there were major challenges like incessant strikes and the Ebola virus disease. Our correspondent Mary Alale Yusuf reports.
Year 2014 started out with undercurrents of dissatisfaction in the health sector, carried over from the previous year. Health workers, under the aegis of Joint Health Workers Union, were the first to go on a 3-day warning strike, protesting what they called discrimination by the federal government. Resident doctors nationwide followed suit on June the 1st, demanding payment of outstanding salaries and functionality of the residency training program, among other things. These became full-fledged industrial action on July the 1st for all doctors in Paris and November 12th for the health workers, leaving in their wake some very dissatisfied patients.
He will just come and let us know that we should just go, that doctors are on strike. So we are just here.
They gave us notice that they have discharged us, that they cannot do the work alone. Without the nurses, they cannot do the work alone. And since then, no care, nothing.
In mid-August, the government suspended the residency training program, relieving about 16,000 resident doctors of their jobs.
Great Nigerian doctors!
They said this was for appraisal of the challenges in the sector. 2 weeks later, the strike was called off and the program reinstated. In late July, the ravaging Ebola virus disease, which had taken hold in the 3 West African countries of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, was imported into Nigeria by now well-known Patrick Sawyer when he traveled into Lagos sick. At the time, doctors in public hospitals were on strike, and the problem landed on the lap of a private hospital, First Consultants. That outbreak cost the nation 7 Nigerian lives, 4 of which came from First Consultants Hospital. Among them, the late Dr. Ameyo Adadevo, who courageously resisted pressure to release the contagious index case. 12 others were rescued from death's door.
It's a tribute to the professionalism of Nigerians, the patriotism, and our ability to collaborate with other agencies. That's what did it.
On the 20th of October, the World Health Organization declared Nigeria Ebola-free.
WHO officially declares that Nigeria is now free of Ebola virus transmission.
Also in October, the Minister of Health, Professor Onyebuchi Chukwu, resigned to run for governor in Ebonyi State. Dr. Kaliru Al-Hassan took over as supervising Minister of Health. The year also witnessed a decline in the numbers of wild poliovirus cases in the country to 6, down from 50 in 2013. Another high point in the health sector was the signing of the National Health Bill into law by President Goodluck Jonathan in late November.
Preventive health care will become the approach. Today, under the National Health Act, the National Council on Health has gone beyond a mere advisory body. It has become the highest policy-making body in the health sector in Nigeria, by law.
Even though 2014 did not see the end to rivalries and complaints in the health sector, there were a few laudable events, one of which was the dispatch of 250 trained Nigerian volunteers in early December to help the effort against the Ebola virus disease in affected West African nations. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
And joining us now to discuss further the performance in the health sector is the Supervising Minister of Health, Dr. Haliru Al-Hassan. Dr. Al-Hassan, you're welcome to the News at 10.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, 2014 is rounding up, and 2015, well, all eyes is now on 2015. What type of health sector do you visualize in 2015? Like we saw in the report, we saw incessant strikes this year. Johesu is still on strike. Are these the kind of things we're going to see in 2015?
Of course not. This is not my wish. My wish is to have a strike-free 2015. I am sure we are going to sit down with all the stakeholders to come up with a blueprint whereby Nigeria will be free of incessant strike. Nobody is happy with what has happened, and nobody can say is not concerned about the flight of Nigerians. And we need to get our act together as a health team, whereby we only have one interest, and that is the interest of the Nigerian patient. And we must do it together. The government has always been proactive, and we need the unions also to have that human face in them. When we invite them to discussions or dialogue, they must have that mind that we have no interest but Nigeria. And I'm confident that 2015 is going to be a great year for the health sector.
Now, the WHO declared Nigeria Ebola-free. How can we sustain our Ebola-free status, particularly during this festive season where there's a lot of traveling?
Exactly. We can succeed in maintaining our Ebola-free status by maintaining our constant vigilance, not only the government but also Nigerians. As a government, as a Ministry of Health, we have maintained the highest degree of level of alertness. All our border crossing are manned 24/7, and routinely we screen every arrival and departing patient to ensure that any suspected case is duly and promptly identified, and necessary measures are conducted. We have been intercepting a lot of Nigerians coming for holidays, yes, across our land crossings, whereby we have put them under strict surveillance to ensure that they are only allowed into the mainstream if they are found to be safe. So we are maintaining the highest level of alertness. We continue to maintain that, and we have always appealed to Nigerians to be vigilant.
Because I'm particularly interested about screening at the borders. I know that we have screening at the airports.
Yes.
But what are the land borders? How alert is the Nigerian government in screening people coming in and out of the country in our borders?
Even every land crossing is known to us, and we know wherever it is manned or unmanned, we are aware of that, and we have been working in collaboration with other stakeholders to ensure that these borders are manned 24/7. The federal government has mobilized, and we have released vehicles to ensure that there is 24/7 surveillance at all possible border crossing. We have our personnel working there who does their job efficiently and diligently to ensure that Nigeria is protected.
Now, President Jonathan has signed the National Health Bill into an act. What would be the benefit of the National Health Act to the ordinary Nigerian?
This is a great master stroke by Mr. President by sending the bill into an act because of the the overall impact of the bill it will have on the health sector. We know all our programs need funding. This bill has guaranteed this increased funding to all our programs, especially at the primary health care level. We know one of the challenges facing ordinary citizens is financial barrier to health sector due to poor economic downturn. The bill has made it possible that every eligible Nigerian will be covered through the universal health coverage. The bill will provide a lot of funding for the universal health coverage, which will ensure that everybody Nigerian eligible is covered, both public and private citizens. This will also ensure that there will be funding for programs dealing with, for example, other illnesses like non-communicable diseases. In particular, the maternal and newborn child health will be receive added attention. We all know that the 4 indices we have in the MDG, especially the health-related ones, the infant mortality, the maternal mortality rate, the reduction in TB, HIV, and malaria. We have recorded a lot of success, but we have not gone there. This bill will guarantee that success.
You talk of funding. We have a situation on our hands where we're experiencing falling oil prices, meaning that there might be a drop of revenue. So how is this going to work? When you talk of increased funding from the consolidated revenue, you said this is where the funds will be coming from. How is this going to work in light of our present reality?
Looking backwards, in 2014, we haven't got this funding. So whatever we get in terms of additional funding with this national bill is a plus. We believe the 1% that is going to be available for the health sector will be immense.
We'll still get this 1%?
We'll still get that 1%, based on the consolidated revenue of the country. But we believe no matter how small it is, the impact will be there, and I'm sure there will be accountability framework put in place to ensure that the little we get is well utilized.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hal Hassan, for joining us on the News at 10.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Bimbo.
First Bank.
Welcome back to Lagos. And on business news, the 2014 budget has not been extended to the end of March next year, but will, as scheduled, end at midnight of December 31 this year. This is according to a statement issued by the Director of Administration, Mr. Francis Ojia, on behalf of the Budget Office of the Federation, and comes amid reports published in some of the nation's dailies of an extension. Some of the reports claimed that the Budget Office had decided the extension became necessary owing to the late passage of the fiscal document by the National Assembly. In the statement, Mr. Ojia emphasized that an extension of the budget year is not the prerogative of the Budget Office, but it has its own processes and procedures which require executive and legislative action. It further adds that an extension has not been contemplated or discussed by the executive branch. As more exchange-traded funds get listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, analysts are of the opinion that the product will trend better next year, but investors must be cautious. This advice is coming from the Chief Executive of Stanbic IBTC Asset Management, Olumide Oyeton. He says investors must be cautious of the implications of crude oil prices on the instrument, as they may need to adjust to the pressures that may come with prices.
ETF will do well, irrespective of the. I think it's. I mean, for 2015, despite the fact that oil prices have come down, oil is it's an important component for the country because we earn a lot of foreign exchange. So people are expecting that there will be pressure, especially as government revenue reduces. We think that, of course, would trickle down in the short term, but an adjustment period. And that adjustment period is the most difficult. Once that adjustment is done, and that adjustment depends on just how far the price falls or where that price actually stabilizes. And we're not aware. For what we know now, the oil prices are somewhere around $60 or so. If it stabilizes as well, then the level of adjustment that we'll have to do, is different from if it stabilizes at 40 or if it stabilizes at 80. And I think that's what people are trying to figure out. I think what is clear is that, we need to adjust to this new normal of oil prices, not as high as before.
Well, let's take a look at the figures from the Nigerian Stock Exchange now. And the equities market closed barely positive as trading activities slowed. Market breadth closed negative as there was 23 gainers as against 28 losers out of a total of 117 stocks that were active today. Balaji Akinwale reports.
Hello, welcome to the Stock Market Report. For the second day in a row, the all-share index closed in the positive territory, up 0.06% to close at 34,684.32. Leading on the gainers table is Nestle with 48 naira. It came ahead of Seplat and Guinness, which added 16 naira 88 kobo and 10 naira 55 kobo to the share prices. On the decliners list, oil stock Total topped with 7 naira, followed by Wapco with 2 naira 16 kobo and Wando with 1 naira 85 kobo. On the volume chart, ETI pulled 53.7 million units of shares ahead of Fidelity Bank and Asus Savings. At the end of the trading session, investors exchanged 6.9 billion naira for 390.8 million shares in 4,637 deals. And that's it on the Stock Market Report. I am Bolaji Akinwale.
And that's it on Business News for tonight. The rest of the news at 10 continues in a moment.
First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, a court of arbitration for sports dismisses Barcelona's appeal against the transfer ban. That's on Sports News. Do stay with us.